But it's, for me, what has been really tremendously fruitful in this time has been not trying to answer that question of, is Jesus fully God or fully man and fully man, right? But instead calling myself into question, calling myself to account to the deepest level of existence and the world in front of the question, right? Not,
Can you explain what
at,
you mean?
yeah, like, I don't know if I can actually, so let's try. Like, hmm, hmm. So there's this idea, I forget who I heard say it, but, or maybe it's in something, maybe it's in the Orthodox way. It's in some like Orthodox thinker or something, but
Mhm.
that you shouldn't approach scripture and God with the question of like how to make it fit the way you understand the world. You should approach the world with the question of how can it be that the world is such that this is true,
Hmm.
right? And so
Can you
what
say
I'm,
it again? I want to hear it again.
how is it, how is the world such that this is true, right? So what I'm trying to do is take this, right, not answer the question of is Jesus God and man, but instead to take that question and then measure the world against that question. Is like, what am I and what is the world were this question, like like it's hard because I think it's really difficult for us to have this idea of like sitting with a question
Hmm.
and then bringing other things in relation to it, because when we sit with questions we're usually trying to answer them,
Hmm.
right? But not trying to answer it, because I like, it's like, well, what the hell would it mean to answer that question? Like,
Hmm.
you don't know, because in some
Yeah.
sense, in order to answer that question, you have to fully know what it would mean to be God and fully know what it would mean to
Yeah.
be man. And both of those are questions
Hmm.
you can't answer.
Because what you're trying to do is to say, is God real? Well, what you're not saying is, we know what real is, and it's this. And does God fit into that category?
It's also, we know what God is in order to assess it.
Well, because you could reverse it and say, is real God?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same question, right? It's the same question.
So here's one of this is something I heard from Tyler Goldstein, who has his own theory of everything. He said, ordinarily, here's how it works. We have a definition, and then we look for evidence, and then dismiss what we've just defined if we don't find the evidence. He said, perhaps what we should do when it comes to God is instead of looking for God and then not finding it and then saying God doesn't exist, you use the fact that you didn't find evidence of God as an indication that you should alter your definition of God.
Yeah, well, that's sure. That's a perfectly reasonable approach to that problem.
Right. Obviously, yeah. However,
no, that's a really good observation. Right. Yeah. It shows you how tricky questions like that are, right?